You remember that they're changing my voice? I apologize if any of you feel like I'm being too harsh, but I have to go top martial artist hard on the devil. Not just that, but the top martial artist ever possible hard on the devil. So now let's look over here at this attractive female who would never date me. Okay, she says, me trying to keep my cool in public when I randomly remember that Jesus literally died for everyone and they don't even care. And so you see this face right here, right? She kind of looks like she's thinking somewhat deeply. She has better brain function than most people. And she says me, it's the same thing again. She's trying to keep her cool in public when she randomly remembers that Jesus literally died for everyone and they don't even care. So what she's trying to do, she's trying to keep her cool. Like, it makes her mad. Imagine if you're the top martial artist ever, and no picture does me justice. This one, we'll get to these pictures and how they look different and why. It proves that they're editing my pictures in a second. And I have pictures that have a lot more difference than these ones, and some of them are very ugly. They have me looking very ugly and unfairly so. Okay. So here's a picture that they edited, okay? And they reduced my kind of aggressive appeal. They want like a fairy society where everyone is complacent and smug and complicit and easily controlled, okay? And so they edited, the falcon there to make it look fairy-like. This one, they made it look fairy-like. This was a very great picture of a falcon. They just ruined it, made it look fairy-like. They blurred this one. That was a great picture, and these falcon claws, right? Talons and talon. Talents and talons are connected, right? Diving and divine. What are the odds that those words are similar? Wings, right? Angel have wings, right? Wind and wings, wind and wind. Whose hands have gathered up the wind? The wings, he rides on the wings of the wind and makes angels his messengers, it says in Psalms. Okay. So let's go to this next picture. It says, you go against Jesus and you're surprised that you're still depressed every single day and can't find happiness in anything anymore. And again, she looks more attractive than most females. You see the look in her eyes, she looks like she's more sane than most females. For whatever reason, especially on TikTok, the Christian crowd looks, even though they all are hypocrites in their own way, they look more sane, but they're not quite sane. And this is an image game that they're playing, It says, just because he goes to church and reads the Bible doesn't mean he is a man of God. There's a difference between a Christian boy and a man of God. Remember, ver in virtue means man. And she has it's like a sad look. Annoyed, sad, kind of enduring hardship kind of look on her face. Okay. Nothing can make men more attractive. Now, each one of these pictures is worth 1,000 words, but, I don't want to take too long with this video anyway. Nothing can make men more attractive. Okay, he puts God first. So you see how these people, they're unwittingly agreeing with my heaven's mandate argument, right? The righteous man of God in reality. So when you realize that they're puppets and someone's pulling their strings, no offense to anybody, and they're attractive and they would never date me if I was their age or otherwise, okay, that this is a marketing campaign aimed at kind of corporate Christianity, churchianity, kind of New World Order, state-sponsored Christianity. Okay? Why would these females think that they should reject the top martial artist ever possible who's actually a man of God? Now notice how they edited this picture, made it have a blue hue. Okay? It has to do with the process of editing and how I took a picture from the bumper sticker and how they made it blue when they weren't supposed to. Okay? But it actually looks a little bit more like the original picture than a lot of pictures. This actually is the same picture as this one in terms of the original picture. And they made this one so I had like an orange hue to my skin, right? It's like a pinkish orange fairy hue. But the original picture looked more like this, where that shadow was very defined on one side, maybe not that dark, and I had this divine look in my eyes. They just made this a little more Jewish looking and so on and so forth. Okay. Now look at the difference between this. This is like during the same year. Why do I have a more long head in this one? Okay. In this one, they made my forehead look huge. Okay. My forehead did look big on camera. but it's to varying sizes. Sometimes it was the afro that would affect how big it looks, and so on the angle and so on and so forth. But the angle does not account. It's basically the same angle there. You know, it doesn't account for the differences that we see. Okay, so here, this patch was actually put on in a bad place, and basically my mom sewed on the patch, and she didn't do a good job, probably on purpose, especially because she's white and it's an African patch. Okay, so it was kind of awkward trying to get her to do it, but I guess you can iron those patches on or something. I wanted to have it sewn on, and I guess, you know, this is an example of other people screwing up and them trying to make me look like an idiot, right? Okay, here they actually, when I printed out, they made it look like one of my eyes was shut. Like you've seen someone who got punched in the face in the eye and their eye gets shut, right? So they did that, and so, you know, they're trying to threaten me and is foreshadowing, say we're in future, we're gonna jump you or whatever, and it's stupid. Speaking of that, incidentally, it is such a cowardly move, you know, to act like some kind of mocker, not necessarily them, we'll say, act like some kind of, you know, fairy tale idea, okay? Act like some wise ass frat guy, not necessarily them, act like some wise ass hazing military person, okay? Or even act like you're a gentleman or something, or any other behavior, and to say, to threaten the top martial artist ever after you've been fuming and poisoning him, trying to get people to intimidate him, trying to drug him in a way where he feels, try to make him feel afraid, okay, because it changes your emotions. They're practicing with different substances and technologies, and then they're saying, trying to intimidate him now, to try to get me to obey them. The old consume, conform, and obey, as conspiracy theorists would say, it's cowardly. So if they jump me in the future and post some video of me all bloody or whatever, all beat up, all knocked down, if they made me cry, if they made me, you know, wet myself, so to speak, okay? It means nothing, okay? It is a bunch of crazed people who don't know better than to not use technology and fumes and poisons and then jump the most righteous guy ever. I mean, that is outrageously stupid. You know what I'm saying? You see the loss in coordination. I haven't been able to do martial arts in a long time. This has to be said to cover the possibility that the threat. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and show you this picture, okay? Even though it makes me look bad, see, you know, that does not look like that in the original picture. You can see both eyes. They did something funny with the editing at the last second. You know, before I printed it, it's not the printer or the ink alone. This is something that we see a pattern of that they do on purpose, right? To make it so, you know, it looks a certain way. And like, there we go with the one eye of the Illuminati. And there's all kinds of stupid, silly reasons that they do things. They like driving people crazy with the various connections, right? Babylon, you know, occult, hidden, and babbling on. Okay. Now here's, you know, real quickly, I'm going to go over this. Black doctors accuse Sutter Health of discrimination. Now, I don't know if they're right or wrong. I assume that they're right by the looks of things. Okay, but certainly this is in California, and I face discrimination from a massive corporate partnerships, the government, their allies, the police, the military. They all group together, and they're afraid to kind of, as individuals and maybe as small groups, to stand up for what's right. And I'm being persecuted too. And my father is a brain surgeon. It's not a coincidence that this guy looks like sad, looks like he's been through a lot of hardship, and that's kind of, you know, how I look in various pictures. But they edited this. I look more divine and tough than they make it seem. They edited it to make it look that way. And you see this kind of look like, oh, they're watching me, they're stressing me out. This is like a common look we see a lot of times. Okay, and notice her in this picture. She's kind of got her head down. She looks sad. She kind of looks like that's a shame kind of look. She looks like, oh, she's watching at her back or something. She looks like they give her a hard time. Okay, it's a harassment state, and it's despicable. And what everyone needs to do, especially attractive women like them, they need to rally and present themselves. So imagine if these females, even though I'm 41, going to be 42 this year, and say they're 20, 25, okay, and they rallied and presented themselves to me, and I chose one. Okay, females of my generation do need to be shamed. They shun me, and the first and foremost, they were the ones who shouldn't have shunned me the most because they're my age. Okay, I think my generation, the females, they need to be shamed to the extreme. Okay, except for maybe the females who dated me. Okay, this is key here. Why? And these are probably the daughters of the females of my generation, and they've raised their daughters to turn their back on me too. I mean, they deserve to be shamed. Thank you.